Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. We are in Season T1 but not on the main account. We have to wait a few days. So what we're going to do is look into some of the talents and the policy changes, and we're going to bring out obviously some more videos so don't go too long as always. So stick around and we'll showcase the brand new talents and policies in today's video. Hello guys, yes, smash like, comment and subscribe for more daily videos with me, MrSneakyy, the one and only. And like I said, we are here in T1. We've got the full season talents, and as I said in the original video when we were breaking down almost frame by frame, it works as we said originally. So when we go into here, you get a maximum of 21 points, meaning each time you're going into one of these trees, you're actually gonna basically lose these, right? So you've got to look at the talent cost. You got 4 for the supers, and then you got 3, 2, and 1, meaning it goes 4, 7, obviously 9 and 10. So it costs us 10 to do one full tree, which is understandable. So you can basically max out 2 trees and then choose if you're going to go and grab maybe a couple of these other things on the side, right? Or are you just going to go down and maybe hit all of these bottom middle purple ones, right? There could be a few different ways you conquer it, right? So let's go down all the trees. We're going to talk about the talent trees first and then see how this works with, honestly, the new policy system. Because I think the new policy system and the talents, honestly, are meant to be working hand in hand. And it is a little bit iffy. We're going to make another video afterwards as well, just kind of purposely talking about the policies. So let's go into it, right? So the first area here, this is the Battlefield Dominion. This is designed for infantry and cavalry. So this is kind of your area. I will say, a little spoiler, there's no love to ranged cavalry units, it seems. So you're not going to get any buffs for the ranged cavalry. Maybe they change this in the future, who knows. But as of now, we can choose either Glory Bound or Swift Supplies. And Swift Supplies allows you to get a 20% increase in your heroes and Warpet's stamina recovery speed. And I can guarantee most players, especially the T5 players, are definitely going to be wanting this really early on. But this basically allows you to increase all damage dealt, with 200k merits basically being the every 200k merits you're getting an extra stack, which is interesting again. So when you hit 1 million, you're going to get 0.5% of extra damage. So that's kind of putting it into the perspectives on how well this is going to be. Maybe again later on, if you can change these at any point, maybe someone might change it, who knows. But I think most players are definitely picking Swift Supplies, as you can imagine. But now we're getting into technically the first choice for the actual unit. So your Subjugator, your Legions gain Subjugator upon battle, increasing their attack by 0.5% every 1 second by a maximum of 5 seconds. So this is kind of like a thing, I believe it's meant to be for your infantry, because obviously it's going to increase the longer range battle compared to cavalry, which have Cavalry Vanguard, which says when your cavalry units launch an unyielding rush at their targets, you're going to get rush speed and range increased by 50%, which is kind of crazy. So here you can see cavalry, even just the normal knights, probably the forest eagles and the wolf riders, all gain an insane buff, because this doesn't really work on the ranged cavalry units, as some people have been testing it out so far. So when we come into the rebound, you got when your infantry units come under attack from ranged units, they have a 10% chance to reduce damage taken by 20%, and it deals counter-attack damage to that target, and it's 180. Not bad, I'm not gonna lie, I actually really like this. I'm gonna try it out, because I've been playing, as you guys know, a lot of infantry in the season. I've been even leveling them up and skilling my Skorgo, Goresh, and Madeline. So we've got a really good infantry lineup. So I am going to go for it compared to my cavalry, because my cavalry are a little bit weak, which is kind of the cool thing about this tree, that you can kind of go for the ones that you want to aim for, right, if you've got stronger units in one tree or area. But when we look at the other Cavalry one is, again, when your cavalry units launch an unyielding rush at their target in the field, they take 20% less damage, and the rush skill cooldown is reduced by 15%, meaning you get a really nice, basically, increase of damage output and tankiness. Because what this is basically saying is you're going to be able to leave combat and go back in faster for that another 1k rage generation, and you're taking 20% less damage, which is kind of insane for cavalry. So it makes them really, really tanky, and hopefully sustain a lot better in the open field. So again, if you're a cavalry player, I can imagine these two are going to be a really fun skill you whack together. But when you do go all the way down and you go for this golden skill, martial fortitude. So when your infantry or cavalry units launch a melee attack, and this is again only specifically for wolf riders, forest eagles, and the knight at ranged legions in the field, they take 15% less damage from that specific legion, which is really good for cavalry. You can see the synergy here so much for them. And the thing is, I don't really, it's okay, I might miss this out, if I'm honest with you, with infantry, because normally, let's be real, infantry doesn't really get to the backline. You normally take as much damage in the front unless you're winning, and then you get there, but you're already really weak, so you're not gaining too much out of it. So I feel like this isn't going to be something for infantry players, but again, I'll try it out and let you guys know how it is, because you can, at any point, as you can see, reset these talents, so it's not end of the world, so you can do a little bit of testing yourselves. So now we're going to go to the range assault. Range assault is all about, obviously, marksmen and mages. So the first options you're going to get is increase all of your legion's march speed by 5%, or your legion deals 1.5 more skill damage. And I'm not going to lie, guys, I would always advise Gale Step here. I think 5% march speed flat on all of your legions is insane. Even if it's just on the ranged ones, it's even better. It means, especially for the marksmen, like the archers, you can get in and out of combat really quickly now, and you don't have to worry about being so damn slow on the open field compared to some of the mage marchers that has that really high march speed increase, like the Atheists, as well as obviously the Valen in the game, right? So let's go into the next option, because this is where we're going to get, I think, a really interesting thing. So I want to know how this skill actually works, because we did see some of this, right? So it says when you have at least one ranged legion in the battlefield, each additional ranged legion that enters the battle increases ranged legion's attack by 1.5%. So basically, you're going to get a 6%, I believe, attack increase if you ran 5 ranged marches, meaning this could be a combination of marksmen and mages. That's the way I'm reading it, and I think that is a kind of insane buff that you can kind of have on your march. However, the next one is kind of scary too, because you get your legions deal 3% more normal attack damage in the field. And this, if you're an archer main, might be the one you want to go for, because again, it's going to make those Syndrones and Freygars hit so much harder compared to before, with all the talents and obviously increases that we're going to showcase in the policy, right? So it's going to be an interesting state, but I honestly think Heart as 1 is the way to go, because you're going to get so much damage out of this potentially if you're running 4 marches even. It's a 4.5% attack increase. So let's see, we'll see how it goes, right? I'm going to make an actual video down the line on my main account when we've played into a season, and giving you guys basically actual talent trees, what you can go down and get the maximum out of, because I'm not going to be one of those guys right now and give you a talent build without obviously playing the full season, right? You know what we're like. We'll give you the first impressions here. That's all the skill information. And then we go in, test it out, and then we give you our verdict, right? So the next one, though, is really cool. I'm not going to lie. The next two is basically the choice of the mages or the archers, right? So if you pick Arcane Torrent, this is a really cool one. You're getting 5 more range every second in the field, and you get a 10% hero skill damage. This is scary good. I'm not going to lie. It's going to add free rage, obviously, to all your mage matches, obviously extra damage. And for certain heroes with the skill tree, it's actually going to help them get, you know, that raging tide trigger and stuff, you know, allowing them to cycle through them skills and hit way more harder. So I actually think this is going to be something players might try out, especially on with the new heroes like Bertrand, that really doesn't have any rage in his kit apart from the skill tree that you might go down. This is adding a little bit extra, so it might fill in the gaps where you might be surprised, and this is a very important skill. But the archers, and this is the hot topic that people are wondering on, your marksman units have the attack range equal to your magic units in the field, but they deal a less base physical attack of 15%. So the way I kind of look at this is when you're hitting your normal attacks, for example, you can imagine if you did, say, just 20k damage, 15% of that is 3,000. So you're going to be dealing 17k damage, right? This is just like a quick little hypothetical. Obviously, the base actual data will be a little bit more, obviously, accurate on those. But you can see you're losing that damage, but you're gaining the range advantage. And I actually think for a lot of players, this is going to be their choice, because the thing is with archers, they are phenomenal at dealing damage because they can actually deal so much normal attack damage, which gives you really good, honestly, trades in the merit store. But they have that short range, so they always get targeted, they always get put out of position, they always get punished, right? So this is actually going to allow them to play more safe, and even better for a lot of players, it means they are working at the same range of your mages. So actually using these as like 3 or 4 marches now is a lot easier to control compared to trying to control 2 different ranged marches, right? So I think this is going to be a really important one. I think it's actually like a really good quality of life buff for maybe not skillful players, but as well, it's actually allowing archers to get quite a lot more damage out there. So I think this is going to be a very scary one. And for me, I'm definitely going to be picking this because I am an archer boy. And I think this is going to be very terrifying in the future. So now we have suppressive fire though. And this is the cool one. When you get all the way down to the bottom, each time your ranged legion deals a normal attack damage to a target, that target's march speed and rage accumulation speed is reduced. And it's a 1% going up to a maximum of 5% for the march speed reduction for 5 seconds. And then for your rage accumulation, it's at 1%, goes all the way to a 10% rage accumulation speed reduction for 5 seconds. So I actually think, again, this is insane. And you can see, and this is, I'm not going to lie, the way I am honestly going to go my season talent builds for my first, at least, actual PvP 10 that I'm going to go for is Suppressive Fire with Long Range, Hearts of One, and Gale Step. I'm not going to say it's going to be the best one, but that's what I'm going, boys. For 10 points, I think that's amazing. It's going to allow me to take advantage and actually use all my units at the same range. And obviously, having all these range units on the field is actually giving them all benefits because they're getting an attack increase. So the magic guys are going to hit harder with their skill damage. My archers are going to hit harder, obviously, with their normal attack damage. So kind of like it. So we'll see how this goes. Really like it, this tree. Comment down below so far if you like my breakdowns, and obviously if you guys have obviously an opinion on what you want to run, right? And maybe you guys like Arcane Torrent. You know, Arcane Torrent might be the one you guys enjoy even more. So we'll see. We'll see how things go. But that just showcases just a quick little example on, you know, a talent page that you could run. I'm not going to say run it right now. I'll give you guys my verdict, like I say, later in when we play Season T1 on the main account. So the next 2 trees, though, are more based on the actual season. This is kind of stuff to do with almost helping you build or your alliance, or, you know, just basically stuff to do with the season in that regard. And then the battle preparation, again, is more PvE style stuff. So you're going to see this, and I actually kind of like both of these trees, surprisingly, for the game. So Engineer and Mastery allows you to basically increase the turret's shield by 20%. I'm not too bothered about that personally, but it could be something that people run, and we might see an interesting turret meta. But here it increases the engineering ranged units by 100%. Again, something I'm not too fussed about. Maybe we go actually for the reinforced, who knows. But here I'm not too fussed, I'm not going to lie. But when you go to the next down, when your Legion is severely wounded, they return to your city 50% faster. Kind of like this. Why? Because it kind of allows you now to have those long range fights. I'm not going to lie, instead of having like a 10-minute march time with all of your murder ball, you know it's only going to take you 5 minutes to get back, which actually feels a lot better, and it sounds better even as I'm saying it to myself right now, right? So this might be one that people pick, or your turrets take 50% less time to build and upgrade. So this is what we were saying. You can definitely see a turret meta potentially occurring here. And if you're going to the next section, I kind of like, again, both of these. This one is a turret one. You get to start your turrets at level 2, so they don't, you skip level 1 completely, which is cool. And then they actually get a maximum level increase by 1. So that's going to be, again, interesting. So you can see definitely the turret meta easily down here if you kind of want to try and abuse it. We'll see if that's going to be worth it or not. And then your breaching strike is when your Legion launches a normal attack. They have a 10% chance to reduce the target's Legion's defense by 0.5%. Oh, what am I saying, guys? I apologize. We'll go into that after. We forgot the high ground. I'm sorry. We were so into the turret one. We forgot it, but the high ground, let's go into it. Legions in Alliance Keeps deal 2.5% more damage. Actually really like this one, I'm not going to lie. This is the one I think a lot of people might pick if they go down this route of going, you know, maybe they get the increased turrets, but then maybe they get this Prayer of Light and higher ground, because it actually means you can play a little bit more of an alliance-based fight, which is kind of cool. Not too bad about this. I actually think this tree is just like, actually just an average tree. But as we're going into this last one, this one's kind of insane as the payoff. So as we were saying, the Legions launch this normal attack, reducing the enemy defense by 0.5% for 10 seconds. It goes all the way up to a maximum of 10 stacks, meaning this is going to go up to, I believe, 5%, which is nice and easy. Multiple Legions can add stacks by the same target, and each new stack resets the duration of the timer. So this is going to be interesting, because the one thing I'm surprised about this, and it might, I know a lot of people might not be too enthusiastic about it, but when you're playing stuff like Kanaro and Nico, you know, Kanaro, Nico, you got the Snow Rock, you all want to break and defense break to keep triggering. This could be something interesting. All I'm going to say, could be something very interesting. I'm not going to say you would actually spend all 10 points to go down here, but this actual, you know, skill is something interesting that could be potentially moved elsewhere. Maybe in the game, maybe on a hero, maybe on a talent, you know, something else, or maybe even, you know, in the actual range tree, right? Might be a lot better. So we'll see how things go. But now we're going to go into the battle preparation one. And this one I'm going to have a little bit more of an iffy stuff on, because this is going to have a little bit of a combination with the domination tree, right? So when you're in the battle preparation tree, we can increase our gathering resource by basically by 15%. It's okay. But the one we're always going to take is gaining 10% more prestige from defeating dark forces and destroying darkling forts. Meaning, when we go to our policy tree later, we should be able to, as you can imagine, pass through it even quicker. And I'm not going to lie, I would honestly recommend putting my first ever point into this, because as soon as you get this online, it's going to allow you to actually progress through your policy tree faster, meaning you can get more XP, march speed, damage, you name it. You're going to get it all quicker. And I actually think that is going to be very important in this season. So Renown, very important. But then we go into the next set of ones, and we have increased the CP recovery speed by 10%, or you gain 20% more merits through combat with other players, and you can then gain up to that 100k merits per week through this skill. So the thing is, we knew about this 100k merits per week change coming into the game, but this is through the battle preparations. You don't gain this normally, so I can assume if you don't have this talent on, well, you're gonna have 20k, you know, merits on a reset. So they were telling the truth, but again, it's locked behind this battle preparations. And again, I think this with already swift supplies is going to be maybe a big problem later down the line when it comes to, you know, the bigger players in the game. But if you're one of those that are in a smaller maybe server or fight and you can duel a lot and get a load of merits, this is honestly going to be good for majority of players. So we're going to have to see honestly how bad this is and how much merits you're going to be able to obtain. But you got to remember, this is going to be a very deadly combo and it's going to inflate the merits for most players when they have them online, right? But now we get into the next one, and I was right, guys. You're going to increase your daily warrant capacity by 1 by doing this. So in technicality, you're going to be able to get up to, I think, 6 pets, but we haven't really looked at the policy tree yet. So, you know, we don't want to see in case, you know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they've increased and given us even more. But we've got 6 warrants if you go for the daily statecraft, or you can reduce the cost of resource healing in your herbalist hut by 10%. Do I have to say any more, guys? Like, this is definitely the one we're going for. It's very powerful, and I think people are gonna notice in this season when we go into the policy trees very shortly why some of these talents I think are going to be a little bit more of an outshine compared to the others. But I really do like both of these options, though. They're really cool options. Do you want to go and focus on pets, or do you want to focus on PvP? Either one, I think, is fine, especially if you're kind of in a quiet season. But when you get to the very bottom here, it says when your legion is gathering in your alliance territory, it cannot be attacked. Meaning you're going to be basically a farmer. So if you're trying to have a nice, safe season and you don't want to get attacked no matter what, even on your own territory, this is the one you're going to be using. And while... but this trade-off is a little bit of a sad one. So this is kind of a catch-22. But while you're in combat, you cannot enter resource points. And what that means is, if you're a player and you take this and you're playing cavalry and you're trying to tile hop, or you're playing, you know, even the flying units and you're trying to tile hop, well, you can't tile hop any longer, boys, because it's not going to allow you to do that potentially on your own alliance territory. And maybe on enemy or neutral territory, we'll soon have to see, because it does say while it's in combat in the field. That's the main thing. So we're going to have to obviously do some testing on that, hopefully, and give you guys a little bit of feedback. So maybe not take this one out of it. But those are all the talents in the game. As you can see, you're going to get these crystals to unlock them. These are your talent quests. So you can see already, I can claim 2 talents already. So I can technically already get Renown, which would be a really good one to start off with. And if I went in to go across, we could have a look and see if we were going to get anything else. Here you can see now, as a really interesting one, you know, because I've picked this, I can't switch, so I would have to reset. Here, by resetting, you reset all the talents. Obviously, back, no legions will be obviously out. And even though your cities can be in combat, and you will not be able to reset them for 40 days. So if you're going to reset them, make sure you reset them early on, potentially, if you're doing testing purposes. Otherwise, you're going to be on a 40-day timer for that, right? So, nice and simple. Now we can obviously go for Glory Bound or Swift. You know what? We would probably go for Swift Supplies, potentially, or even just Gale Step. So we have that March speed and probably won't work down this range. So, we'll just do that just for argument's sake for the video, right? So, we've used our talent points. So, that's basically how the system works. You just go now down these quests. You can see all of the quests on screen. You can start claiming these bad boys, basically free, upgrading and gaining more and more as you play through, obviously, the season. So now as you've done that, we're going to basically switch things up and go into basically the policies, and we'll have a quick overview showcasing what the policy changes are that will tie in basically with this. And then don't worry, I am going to make an actual policy video talking about it a little bit more in depth and my own opinion on it currently. And welcome back, and this is the policy tree. We obviously did a deep dive into the talents because that's the first time we've been able to properly see them, and I hope you guys got as much information from that segment as you can. Now we're going to go into the policies. Basically, this is going to be a nice quick kind of run through, going over what we can see in here, and I'm going to make an actual specific video on policies because I've got quite a lot to talk about, and I don't want to make this video a 40-minute video, right? So, Policies. They're pretty much the same as what we know. So we have the PvE peacekeeping damage with your hero XP, prestige gain, and stamina limit bonus. So this one I'm going to talk about in the video more importantly later on. But I will say don't fall in the trap of getting this really early on, because you might do that and you're going to basically hinder your progress to get through quicker in this policy tree, right? Because you might not have any war in obviously the beginning of your season, right? So just to give you a nice little tip. But once you've gone through there, we've got our military expansion, which is a percentage-based capacity now. So it's going to be interesting to see what this is going to go all the way up to. And then we have our medical and obviously our resource healing. And the thing is, this season, which we're going to talk about again more in the video, is the healing in this tree is insane. So when you get the amount of daily and elixir production, you're going to get a resource healing cost reduction already. And then you will pick, obviously, your turrets in the game. You'll go for more healing options now. We can go for elixir, either limit or speed. We can then go for, again, you know, down at the bottom, stockpile days, which increases the stockpile days of your herbalist hut, allowing you to store resource healing from previous days. This thing is going to be very powerful and key in the game, because basically it's going to allow players to, over time, stack up days and days and days of resource healing. And if you're a big spender, as you can imagine, you've got tons of resources, guess what? You're going to be able to heal a ton in that category. So this is going to be something we're going to have to talk about a lot more on, maybe get a bit more information in. But then you get obviously the daily resource healing base percentage of total legion. So if you wanted to, instead of getting a stockpile, you can just increase the amount of your gain per day, right? So now we've got the just kind of stuff to do with your turrets. So this is your turret max level, obviously going into the attack or reduced damage taken. And then when we're going down to the bottom, this is again what we've had in the last season. Either do you want turret destruction merits or increase the resources gained for destroying turrets. But the cool thing is you can see this is turret destruction merits plus 3%. But here you're gaining march speed, and this might be a very underrated thing to gain, because again, you're getting free march speed, which is a PvP talent in the game, or stat, should I say. So it's very, very scary where this policy tree is kind of heading. So now we've got resource healing again, as you can imagine. So now if you want to heal with resources, this game's giving you more ability to do so. This goes even further if you want to reduce either the healing, wood, or the stone or mana. Most people are going to go for the mana, or maybe the main one for your units. But then we're in the last section of the policy tree, and the policy tree becomes a very scary thing, because we gain damage dealt bonuses. So this is why I'm saying about I'm going to go more into this tree, because you can imagine I'm biting my tongue and I don't want to spoil too much, but you can see we're gaining infantry damage dealt, cavalry, marksman, and magic, which was already in the game previously. Then you go into your military expansion, and then going into administrative excellence again, solely on to increase your warrant capacity. And then they've added a little bit more. So the one thing we never knew was cursed swords, which I'm going to wait until the very end. But here we get to choose our medical supplies again, either daily elixir production or resources, going into your elixir capacity limit or production speed. And then at the bottom tree, as you can imagine, you can get more stockpile days or resource healing increase, right? And then you hit cursed swords, and this is a 1 of 1, which if you choose to take it, increases the damage dealt. This is more damage. So this would mean 5% more counter attack damage, normal attack damage, skill damage, surrounded damage. This is 5% more damage, even critical damage. It's just flat out. But your said wounds that you will be obviously taking has a 2% chance of dying immediately. That's the trade-off. So you're going to lose potentially more troops over a longer period of time, but you're going to be dealing a way ton of damage. And that is the brand new policy tree. And as you can imagine, It's insanely long, and I'm not gonna lie, I've already got a suggestion on the Call of Dragons Discord if you want to check that out on this policy exchange, and obviously give you a little more of a insight to the next upcoming video to do with more in-depth talk about the season policies, right? Because I have a lot to talk about on there. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this segment. I did obviously showcase everything that you need to see in here. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you guys which way to go right now, because who knows what's the best way. But I am going to have maybe a potentially first impression run down on what I would potentially do, and then tell you again feedback from that once we've done our full experiment in obviously playing season T1. So let's go to the next section, and the last section, which I'm going to give a quick rundown on little bits and bats in the season that's that you can see in this new T1, and then it'll be the end of the video. So we are obviously looking at the quick event calendar. You can see Riches of Forest will be around if you're looking for this, and it's kind of insane because you can either choose to get the Spirit Bone Talk, Mirage Orb, and Rattle Spear in this new one. So if you're a big spender, you're most likely going to be whacking your money to try and get this, because again, Mirage Orb being the best artifact I think in the game right now. But then you got your Wheel of Destiny, and as I said and guessed correctly when we were first making these videos before they fully announced all the information, we did get the Skogul, Gresh, and then you got your Toha and Bertrand. We know how this works. You just basically increase the amount of chances you want to spin. Hit the button like this. Maybe just buy some just to showcase this on screen right now, just for you guys, for a little bit of fun at the end of this video here, so you can just showcase here. We're looking to try and unlock, any hero potentially. Nothing unlocked, nothing unlocked, nothing unlocked, right? So it's what it is, right? So you try and spin this and see if you can unlock one of these new heroes. Hopefully, in my eyes, if you're a free-to-play player and it sounds a bit stupid, you kind of want to unlock Toha, because you're never really going to be competing for the Strongest Lord, are you? So if you can get a Strongest Lord commander for free, this is a really fun way of doing it. And then hopefully later on down the line, your lucky spin's going to come around and you can unlock obviously Bertrand from your lucky wheel. So you can obviously work on that commander anyway with your gems. So that's why I always suggest something like that. But when we go down, we've got basically Eleanor's Crisis, Behemoth Hunter, as you can imagine. Heeding the Call that's on, which is the member or alliance effect. You've got Resurgence that's online, so you can resurge, which we're going to showcase a little bit in a moment, as well as obviously the new season debuffs or buffs, right? So this ends in 7 days. There's a ceasefire, so no one can attack anyone for 2 days basically. There's a new no relocation cooldown, so you can teleport like crazy for the first 3 days, and then obviously these building and recovery speed increases, and then at the very bottom is Toha, right? The Toha Strongest Lord. So that's pretty much a quick rundown of the events in. If you zoom out, you'll have noticed as well, I haven't done it on this account, but all of your buildings would have shrunk if you've never noticed. So you can make these obviously a little bit tighter than they were before. So that's a nice little upgrade for you guys. As well, like I say, you can go into the game right now and technically click on Toha and Bertrand here. You can check out all of these guys' skills and stuff. And that's pretty much most of the gameplay stuff. And the last thing we need to talk about, which I want to go into mainly, is the map, right? So we can basically check out the new Season T1 map, right? So if you go here, we can see the full view of it, when we're looking in the Kingdom view. And when we're looking at it, you can see Zoland is up at this top section. There is some divide, so you can't obviously interact with Burning Lands here, but we will be going into the Forgotten Lands, like I suggested here. But you got Daralan up at the top as well, and you can see again Daralan going across, but there's no interaction with Navula. So basically what they've done, I believe, in this game is allowed basically wherever you start in zone 1, you can fight in this brand new zone here, which is going to be the first opening. If you lose that, you will go through your past 2s anywhere, and it will allow you to fight in here and try and gain, you know, some cool control on this side, which is a different fight. And then later down the line, the guys in here will get past free access, which means they can invade and try and join into the fight again later down the line. But if they don't do that, down here you can see their pass 2 is in Agoru. So I kind of like it. It's really interesting that basically the way this is being made, and they've made a brand new area, Parhelion, which is kind of cool as well. So a bit of lore change there. But what I like to see is you've got this home area almost, this zone 1, which is your first zone, you know, almost where you're safe, if you want to say, like Burning Lands. This is your home kingdom, if you want to, not say home kingdom, but home state. And you're basically getting different options to go into and attack and invade actually different camps around this actual, you know, map. And the same goes for everyone else. And the cool thing is it still allows them at the end, as you can see, a ton of Zone 4 pass access to fight in the Zone 4. So it's going to be very, very interesting. You can see the actual dragon is very tucked in this like almost cavern now. So you have to fight almost for the bridge and almost block off, you know, the entrance to gain control. So it's going to be interesting. We can see the old, the spires that were in season 2 plus. They've been introduced into the map as well. So who knows how it's going to be. We've not obviously seen this map. It's a brand new re-edition, if you want to say, or remake of the first map, which everyone loves because it's got so much great open field experiences, as you can see already from just even looking at Agoru. It looks beautiful, right? And even lore kind of looks amazing to fight in, right? So you've got all this amazing open field sources, and now they've added potentially spires, which might promote some more choke point fighting. But maybe with all this open field, you know, terrain, it's actually going to work more in favor on how people expected this, you know, like actual gameplay to work. And if it does, as you can imagine, maybe they change the Season 2 map to be more like this, with obviously different terrain, being obviously snow. And then maybe in the Season 3 map, obviously then they're going to keep kind of sticking to the similar formula, but obviously trying to introduce something more interesting. Like maybe in this area, you're in the swamp, right? And if you're in the swamp areas, you naturally have lower march speed or something like that. Or if you're in the jungle, you could go into the jungle in certain areas, you know, like these giant bushed areas you could go in, and it means there's like you're hidden from fog of war, for example, and basically the enemy needs to be really, really close in order to see you, and otherwise you know, you can kind of like avoid detection. So they could introduce stuff like that with really good open field spaces. So that's basically what, you know, all season T1 so far for me has been about. This has kind of been my first look video for you guys, showcasing the talents, the policies there, a little bit quickly on the events, as well as obviously the map, right, all in here. And I'm going to go more into it for my main account. Obviously in a few days, my main goes in on the, I think the 4th. As you guys know, there is 2 different dates for some reason this season T1. So it is what it is, but we have obviously different scouts in different servers. So I can do this still as things come out, you know, a couple of days early, let's just say that. So hope you guys have enjoyed it. I know it's been a bit of a maybe a wishy-washy wild one today. It's been a fun one though. It's season T1. I am looking forward to it, but we've got a lot more videos to come out as well, so you're going to see why I'm looking forward to it and other reasons why I'm not actually happy with some of the changes in actually this T1 season. So with all of that, guys, you know what to do. Smash a like, comment and subscribe, and until the next one, stay safe, stay sneaky, peace out.